Well, hello out there. It's been a very, very long time since we've seen each other. I hope you're doing very well on this wonderful Sunday evening. I know I certainly am. I'm feeling quite, well, not really holy, but I'm certainly feeling great. I even have this wonderful alien sitting next to me.
Are you feeling just divine?
I am feeling simply divine.
Hello, it is I, J.Ishiro Finney, author and alien in a human suit, and a rat ate my internet.
Yes, again,
Again.
again, he is naughty.
Yeah, to say the least. Well, we got 3 people listening. Do you want to explain our technical difficulties? Which meant we didn't broadcast all last week?
Yeah, basically, we wanted to broadcast, but the connection kept cutting out and would go for longer and longer spans of not coming back, and that was really annoying. So had the tech guy come in, and now he was very nice. Actually, I have to give him props. He was incredibly nice. But the second he saw that we kept rats, he immediately looked at the cord and said, "Oh, there's your problem. It's been chewed." And it was in an area where I had specifically protected the cord from being chewed. So this little bastard somehow actually managed to pull out the cord from the protective casing so he could chew it.
A little pain in the ass.
Yeah. But the tech guy was very nice. He repaired the wire. He even gave me a backup and told me what to look for next time to make sure that everything's working properly.
Well, let me tell you, that little bastard just should be glad that internet cords don't carry the kind of voltage that make rat brains go pop.
Yeah, we've seen what happens when that happens.
Well,
it's not pretty.
That was a telephone cord. And still, that the voltage running through a telephone cord is only bad when it rings.
No, Churro fried himself on an actual power cord.
Oh, I think he wanted to go.
Yeah, I think he did too. But still, that was not good to have a rat suddenly be paralyzed from the waist down.
But on the other hand, no, the little bastard ate the internet cord.
Yeah, he's fine. Thank you, BGC.
Again, the voltage that goes through those is so low that it does absolutely nothing.
Yeah, he just was being a bastard.
I mean, it doesn't even give them like a warning spark or anything that would make them think twice after they bit it.
Yeah.
No. And why do they chew on cords?
Actually, scientists are not 100% certain.
Do you think it's just they like chewing on things?
They theorize that the reason why rats chew on cords is because it says into their brain, this is roots or this is plant matter that you want to eat. I don't entirely buy that explanation because we've had rats where we've had rats where they couldn't help themselves. They just had to chew on cords. And so I would buy that instinctual drive. But we've had other ones where they do it because they're being assholes and they know they're not supposed to. And they know it pisses us off.
And it's only specific kinds of cords.
Yeah.
There are others they just won't even bother with.
Mm-hmm. Well, these little guys, luckily... No, wait, I take that back. I was going to say they don't seem to want the power cords, but Chaozu has eaten a power cord, so no,
yes,
never mind.
Chaozu's a little bastard.
Yeah.
He's a chewer in general.
Mm-hmm.
There is not a single cardboard box that I've given them yet that he hasn't chewed to hell.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Vegeta does not chew, which is interesting, considering their siblings. Red 31. How the hell rats are your internet? We keep pet rat. We keep pet rats.
We have 2 pet rats, and one of them's a chewer, and he decided once again to somehow manage to chew the internet cord.
Yeah.
Which is weird because he's the one we rarely let out of the cage.
And I can only think of one time that he would have had access
when he escaped.
to it. Yeah, when he escaped, but we tried to keep him away from that area as much as possible. So he must have ran over there, bit it, and then ran out again so that we wouldn't know he was there.
We didn't think he was under there long enough to do that.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
And the problem just got progressively worse as the wire continued to fray.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway.
Marty, Chaozu the Chewer.
Yep. Yes, he is.
And Bramando says that's a practical use for Squirrel Girl's power.
Yeah, actually it is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But then you'd have to actually somehow argue that Squirrel Girl has any value.
Yeah.
Other than maybe, I don't know, food for jackals.
Yeah. Dark Stranger says maybe you guys should upgrade to a capybara since Arizona is one of the states where you can have one.
I like rats. I'll put up with it. I like rats.
Although we have
capybara look like Pokemon.
Well, capybaras are giant guinea pigs.
Oh, never mind. No.
Yeah, but we have considered pouch rats.
Yeah. Maybe eventually. I mean, we'd have to really set up a cage for a pouch rat.
We'd have to wall off a section of our back patio.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
So okay, we all like the cute rat, but hey, let's do this instead. That's always good for ratings.
She's a different type of rat.
A vamp.
Yeah.
This is the part where they were playing the Thrill Kill Cult in the background as she's stripping to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's been forever since I've seen. Okay. Showing my age. This came out when I was in elementary school, and it has been that long since I've seen it. So.
I was in high school. I'm a dirty bastard.
Well, yeah, there is 8 years difference between us. So.
Yeah. So yeah, I was in high school when that film came out.
Yeah.
Went and saw it in the theater, and first half hour, I'm like, this is great. And then the rest of the movie happened.
Well, I told you my reaction to that film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
we're not telling our parents we watched this.
So let's talk about politics here. Look, I don't care how many times people claim that the Greys somehow are allied with the Reptoids or that the Reptoids are our bosses. That's bullshit. Fuck this guy. No, they've enslaved our people. They capture some of us. That's one of the reasons we've been at war. I keep hearing this rumor now that the government's cool with that UFOs again. It's not true.
You should have drawn a wang on his chest.
All right. So let's see what everyone's saying, and we'll just kind of just catch up with everyone.
Yo, I'm on a pirate adventure. I'm thinking of renaming the ship from Jackdaw to the Red Orca. Okay, Acid Trip. Are you really on a pirate adventure? No, really. Where is that? That sounds pretty cool.
Are you rocking out with your guitar as you do this, or just playing sea shanties?
Although it's weird you bring that up. This has been my weird day for like pirates to randomly pop up for me. One of my crafting channels, she was making tiny wooden pirate ships, and that of course reminded me that, hey, I have a pirate ship that I need to do a diorama for. And then that got me remembering the movie Captain Ron and how you still need to see it.
Hey, it's John Stephen Walsh. And Mr. Walsh, you kept saying, where's the book? Where's the book? Well, the book is in the fucking email.
Well, so there you go.
Actually, what I'm talking about is two things. One, for those of you who are my editors, heads up, I've sent you all a whole bunch of chapters to look at.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I can officially say, what, last two chapters left finally?
Yes.
So,
yay!
here's here's the deal. We're going to be doing a writer's room Wednesday, and this is going to be the topic. And this should be a hint to all of you about what's going on with the book. Losing control of your project is the topic.
That's a good topic.
Because, sometimes you'll lose control of your goddamn project.
It happens to the best of us.
But I have to be better.
Oh, I know.
But now that you have read essentially what's almost an entire book, what can you tell the audience other than it got you mad?
Well, you just said what I was gonna say, which was, I got reminded again how much I really want to slam Noelle Stevenson's head into a wall, but yes, I hate the bitch. I will fully and completely say it. I hate the fucking bitch. She can have her fucking hang-ups. She can get top surgery. She can do all that stuff to herself because she's an adult and she can fuck up her own life. She has no goddamn right to try to promote that type of lifestyle to children and to fuck up a beloved character. Noelle Stevenson created the new She-Ra.
Yeah. And, I think everything was going along at a pretty good clip with the rewrites where you were going through and telling me, okay, you got to fill this in. Okay, this has to be expanded. And that did really make the book a lot longer. I mean, at least you guys won't be disappointed about the thickness of this book.
It is thick.
Yes, it's going to be girthy.
Well, it's very fitting.
But I can honestly say I know exactly when I lost control of the project. It wasn't the research spirals. That's a personal problem. I've always had that. With everything, I'll go into over-researching. And we even did a show on that. Research is good. Over-research can be a problem. It was when I had your mom read it. That was what did it.
Okay.
Because that made me second guess everything.
Oh, because of how much she didn't know?
Well, she's a boomer. She read it, and just how many things made it no sense to her because she's a boomer. And, okay, granted, I think the majority of our audience is going to be Gen X and younger, but I can't count on that. I mean, hopefully there will be a fair amount of boomers that read it. But we kept running into the problem where she would just keep asking questions like, well, okay, I was reading this and I get this but I don't know what this is. And it would be things like, well, what's cis?
Yeah, well, what's cis? What is woke?
Yeah, what is woke? What is cis? And then she kept saying, well, no, feminism, this isn't feminism. This is something else. And it's like, no, this is feminism.
Like, no, the feminism you had, Mom, doesn't exist anymore.
And when I got to the chapter, which was finally saying, look, where this is all led, it all started with an attack from our angle, at least. In the art world, it was an attack on the female form is where it all began for us. I mean, really, it all began with Simone de Beauvoir and a bunch of child diddlers in the 50s and 60s from France. But really, the way that it manifested in terms of comics and animation and film was it kept going. They would always claim boobs, and the next thing you know, all the women started looking more and more boyish. And where I was leading it to was basically we started with an attack on boobs, but that started in the late 90s. And by 2020, it had metastasized into getting all female form out of art and girls having their tits chopped off in real life. And I was drawing that connection together. And I just kept running into the problem over and over again was, your mom's not going to understand any of this. Oh, wait, Catherine just got here. Good night, or is that a hello? Anyway, good night, everyone. Shit. Oh, here we go.
I think when you talk about media, you're always going to run into problems with normies, especially the boomer variety understanding.
Yeah, and the thing was, part of the purpose of this book is I'm doing what a lot of people are doing right now. I think we can all applaud Matt Walsh for what he did with his What is a Woman documentary.
Mm-hmm.
And other people are doing their own projects. And I realized what I'm doing is taking a problem that has existed for a while, that we all know is there. We all know something's not quite right about it. But in my opinion, I would say the vast majority of us don't have all the information and don't quite know what it is. They can't put their finger on it, just how it is that hating on Power Girl and Laura Croft's tits for 25 years could lead to teenage girls cutting their tits off in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
But that, trust me, there is an absolute through line.
No, there is.
And that is one of the reasons I set out to write this. And I'm just kind of wondering if, to get this damn book done, am I just going to have to not translate for Boomer and just know that at least Gen Xers and younger will get it?
I think it's finding a reasonable, happy medium. I mean, you want your book to be accessible, so you explain what cis means and you work it into the narrative.
Actually, I haven't yet.
Oh, I thought you did. Or is that a part of a chapter that I haven't?
That's a part of the chapter that we're debating to keep.
Oh, okay. Well, I liked how you brought it up and worked it in, and if regardless if it stays in its own chapter or gets put into a different chapter, I do think it's good and it's needed.
Well, I think the hardest part I ran into with this book is, writing about what was done to Power Girl. Easy, enjoyable. Cranked that out in 2 weeks, right? Including the Harley Quinn chapter.
Yeah.
So, that was, 12,000 words in 2 weeks.
Something like that, yeah.
No problem. Writing about the symbolism and what actual female strength is in an archetypical way. No problem. Wrote that in a week. Getting into the whole thing about She-Ra. Again, 2 chapters, 2 weeks. And then, of course, there were rewrites and all the other shit that came after that.
Mm-hmm.
And there was the research that went with it that made it take longer. But the actual writing didn't take long.
Mm-hmm.
It was when I hit the actual gender issues and where all this shit came from that it got hard. Because that Heinlein chapter where I was talking about Friday, to make that chapter make sense, that turned into like a 12,000 word chapter about communism.
Yeah.
It went from, this book Friday is hated on by feminists, and you start tracing it backwards, and by the time you get to the very end of the chapter, it's, well, this is basically communism. And that's the other thing that kept coming up over and over again through the book, was how much I would have to go back to, well, these people are all communists, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found myself continually having to give these little mini history lessons in chapters, which, oh my God. And I think that's the problem with the current chapter that we're hung up on, that I almost gave up on, which was where I explained cis and woke and the whole gender crap and how girls are now being encouraged to cut themselves up. And it was like, what the hell am I doing? This is I feel like I'm writing an entire new book.
Well,
no, I'm not writing a book on that. I will not. I need to get back to fiction. This is killing me.
No, I agree.
So,
but I think you did the right thing of stopping, and it's like, okay, time to reassess. Mark, when you said Friday, I immediately thought of the movie Ice Cube and Chris Tucker.
Okay.
BGC, all ideologies have a through line, i.e., what I like to call a path of logical consequence. Sadly, most people seem to prefer to avoid even considering to look at it.
Well, this book looks at it. And I knew I was going to, well, actually, tell you the truth, no, when I started the book, I thought my through line was going to be, okay, in the late 90s, we started seeing all these really ugly bitches and simp beta males bitching about tits. And that we were just constantly getting that through the aughts as we worked in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And that from that, and feminism's constantly going on and on about what a miserable life it is to be a woman. 20 years later, after, what, quarter of a century almost of bitching about Laura Croft's tits, Power Girl's tits, Tifa's tits. What were some of the other ones I mentioned? Friday,
mm-hmm.
She-Ra. You go down the list, right? You're eventually going to get to the point where you've got women thinking, well, maybe it's easier if I just cut them off and pretend to be a boy. Was my through line.
Yeah.
What I didn't expect was, I thought the through line would end at feminism. I had no idea it was just going to keep going back to fucking communism in the 1950s, specifically.
Yeah.
And that really one of the most obvious was Wortham, Frederick Wortham, and his crusade against comic books.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I did the research into him, and I'm like, okay, so, oh, wait, so he isn't a conservative. Oh, he isn't a Christian moralist complaining about the comic books like everyone said he was.
Yeah, everyone was saying that he was basically like Estes Perkle.
Yeah, or essentially like the anti-heavy metal religious right stuff.
Yeah.
Anti-D&D. He was always portrayed as being one of these religious conservatives who was trying to ban fun. And I look into it, and it's like, no, actually, he was super, super liberal. He was a Jew who had dodged the Holocaust by coming to the United States, and he came to the country with a mission to basically ban everything.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a gigantic fan of Karl Marx, named his clinic after Marx's nephew, who was a propagandist.
Mm-hmm.
And today, there are actual academic articles now praising Frederick Wortham for being able to slip in a communist agenda by tricking conservatives into thinking it was a moral crusade.
Yeah.
And so I figure, okay, so it's just him. And then we get to like Wonder Woman in the 1970s, where half the feminists loved her and the other half wanted her dead. All the feminists that hated Wonder Woman were communists.
Mm-hmm.
And in the 60s, and the new wave of science fiction, they were all fucking communists. Except Philip K. Dick.
No, he was turning them in.
Yeah, he was actually secretly turning them in. Good man. Friends don't let friends be communists.
Exactly.
You throw them out of a helicopter.
Acid Trip, is that a reference to H.G. Wells' Time Machine?
Which one?
Remember to eat fruit.
Oh. Yeah. Speaking of fucking communists, there's another one.
Yeah.
Goddamn H.G. Wells.
You read his books, and it's like, did he read his own writing?
Yeah. And, Asimov, all of them. It's just...
Well, I was more impressed by the fact that because of his Of Things to Come, I always get the two of them confused. Was it Huxley? Or is it
Huxley?
It was Huxley.
Huxley read Of Things to Come, or Shape of Things to Come, and said, what a load of horse shit, and wrote Brave New World as a response.
Yeah.
And Orwell wrote a short story, I don't remember what it's called, that was also a response, because he read Of Things to Come and said, what a load of horse shit.
Yeah.
And apparently, back in the day, they ripped on Wells quite a bit for that.
Well, Wells thought that Stalin was a fine, upstanding young man.
He thought he was a little heavy-handed, but he was a very decent and kind gentleman,
Yeah.
very polite, and Wells said, considering my good judge of character, of course, Wells also apparently was having sex with Margaret Sanger.
Yeah.
And he was a big supporter of her too. So
yeah.
Another fine communist.
Yeah. Really, just dude. Yeah, did you read your own work? Or is this one of those things where what you got out of your work is not what other people are getting out of your work? Ironcast Night. When it becomes time for bread lines and gourmet bugs and the communists come to the front of the line, I say, let them eat dick.
Well, apparently a lot of those World Economic Forum types were huge fans of Wells' Of Things to Come, including Asimov, who was a member of the precursor to the World Economic Forum, the Club of Rome, who advised. So, yeah.
Yeah, Asimov, creating a world where everyone's living in gulags and eating yeast.
And in fact, guess what? Asimov and his buddies are the first ones guilty of taking a fun sci-fi convention and forcing politics onto it and trying to make it political and ruining everyone's experience by shoving political flyers in their face and making speeches at panel discussions about communism. Yeah. So, even politicizing and wrecking conventions started with commies. There's nothing good with communism. Seriously, helicopter all of them.
Chicken Sith. They hate femininity unless it can be used as a weapon or is a skin suit caricature. They hate masculinity unless they have a bridle on it.
Well, you see, the problem is that masculinity has a function in their world where femininity doesn't. And what masculinity is they need an enemy to blame everything on.
Yeah. So, masculinity will always exist.
You'll always have the white male identity because they need somebody to blame everything on.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think Bernie should be served up as dinner for everyone, if he really believes that.
Eat the burn?
Eat the burn, yeah. Bernie's barbecue.
There you go, Bernie's barbecue.
Yeah. Oh, was it Long Pig?
Long Pig, yes. Yeah. Yes, Long Pig. Yum, yum.
Yes, him and his pals were Karens.
Mm-hmm.
And his club, the Futurians, actually met at the Young Communists. Oh God, it was some sort of essentially the Boy Scouts for commies.
Jesus.
It was the Young Communist League or something. That was where they held their meetings.
Jesus.
But what's interesting is all of Asimov and his pals that were big communists had absolutely no problem profiteering off the system they said they hated.
Nope.
And committing all the wrongs that they said they were against.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the thing is that another thing you guys need to know about Asimov and a lot of his friends is that Asimov was probably, the stereotype that we get right now, that feminists are always claiming that if they go to a convention, they're constantly going to be harassed and grabbed and pinched, and Asimov really did that.
Yeah, he did.
And Ursula K. Le Guin, actual story, it got to the point where Robert Heinlein would always walk directly behind Ursula K. Le Guin when they were in a group so that Asimov couldn't grab her ass.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I find it interesting that none of Asimov's female characters are depicted in a good light, or at least not a good light of somebody who actually pays attention. Now, I haven't read all of his books, so I could be wrong. And I swear the only character in Foundation, or at least as far as I got in it, that was female, the only reason why she was a good character is because the storyline with the mule wasn't his idea.
Did you know huge chunks of the Foundation were lifted from Of Things to Come by H.G. Wells?
I can see it.
Including a character.
Which character?
It was one of those psychohistory people.
Because I can totally see that. Actually, I read Foundation, and then you showed me Of Things to Come, and yeah, I was totally seeing the parallels. But yeah, none of his characters actually are in a good light. The closest you really come is Susan Calvin, and even she is a vindictive bitch. So, and
Yeah.
none of them are attractive. The only character that is attractive, Gladia, is a fucking murderess.
Yeah, he seemed to have a pretty awful opinion of women, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Stark Stranger. So how many chapters have you got left?
Okay, I will answer that. But first, I figure since we're talking about boobs, let's get an appropriate graphic on screen. Would you not all agree? I think there needs to be an appropriate graphic.
Okay. We're getting graphic with our storytelling here.
Yeah. Well, you know, this is a visual medium. I mean, do they really just want to see our icon?
Well, people like that one. Speaking of, I got a total score. I got almost the entire run of the New Guardians.
Oh, yeah.
With Hemogoblin and Snowflame. So I got almost the entire run, and God, that series is awful. I'm missing only 2
there
issues.
are some boobs of steel for you.
Oh, she's hot. She's hot.
Okay, admit it. You wish you could work out and look like that.
Oh, fuck yes. I totally wish I could spend 4 hours a day so that I could look like that.
Let's see. Well, at least your boobs are a lot bigger than hers.
That's true.
You mean like, here we go. There's a picture of you.
There you go.
Old fan art.
Yeah.
Cat there hulking out. That's Nice Cat, and that's Rage Cat.
Yeah, I just need them. Okay. I'd love to have those arms, but really, I want that stomach.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How about the thighs?
The thighs are nice.
Okay, so how many chapters left? Well, that's the problem. First off, the good news, I guess, is the book is twice as long as I predicted. Remember earlier this year I said, oh yeah, it's done. No. Somebody sat down, someone who has a luscious pair of knockers, and she squeezed them together, and that got my attention. And then she sat down and lovingly put her hand on my knee, and I looked down at those knockers, and then she said, you need to explain these things. You can't assume the audience knows. Or you can't just give us the cliff notes of this incident or this issue. Which I had. And now the book's twice as long.
Was I wrong?
No, but I'm still pissed.
Well, deal with it.
Wow, that's a pretty weak response for my editor. Usually you're a bit harsher with that answer.
Well, do you want me to be harsh? I mean,
no. Let's get the Miss Eats voice you do.
Miss Eats voice.
You know what I'm talking about.
Okay. You know, do you want it done right, or do you want to half-ass this?
I don't want to half-ass it.
All right, then you're gonna do it right. God damn it.
Okay, that's a lot closer to what you said. That is a lot closer to the tone too. It was still nicer. So first off, the book, how many chapters left? It's twice as long than I predicted. Without the interviews, because yes, there are interviews in it, without the appendice articles, and without the commentaries from individual women, the book alone clocks in at a little over 200 pages. I would say the appendices will probably add another 50. And with what's left, that might kick it up to 300 words or 300 pages. So honestly, at this time, I estimate a 300-page book, with 50 pages being appendices and interviews and supplemental material that is still all very interesting. I mean, it's just I didn't write it. Interviews, transcripts, because a lot of the stuff we're all quote people. I did a lot of interviews for the book, and I figured, well, okay, I've quoted these people, but why not just include the whole damn interview at the back?
Which I think is important.
So, yeah, I've got this wonderfully long interview with John C. Wright that I'm including, which I'm very excited for people to see. I've also got this great interview with Professor Geek in the back as well. So how many chapters left? Okay. I've got a chapter I'm currently working on, which I need to include one section. And then it's done. After that, there is a chapter on Lara Croft that's begun but not finished. A chapter about Wonder Woman and the Amazon, the modern Amazon archetype's importance, that is heavily written but not finished. And then there's the chapter that I don't know if I'll include. That's it. That is all that's left.
Cool.
Well, I've told you that. I mean, there's a chapter that has one little section needed added into it, and that's about the chainmail bikini controversy with Sifwa.
Yeah.
And
which is important to bring up.
And then just the Lara Croft and the Wonder Woman chapter, and it's finished. And I don't imagine those two taking long because they'll be fun to write. Really, the headache is the gender chapter. Do I include it or not? That's the problem. And that was where I spent the last month working on that one goddamn chapter, which has been a bit of a hell. I mean, give me a second.
Are you going to pull it up?
Yeah, I'm going to pull it up. Say something interesting while the
well, yeah, I was curious about that. Yang says Asimov was a precursor for Rage Against the Machine.
Poser.
Oh, okay.
Rage Against the Machine, they're always going on about how they're communists, right?
Oh, are they?
Pro-Che, right?
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not done yet.
Okay.
Yet they're on a major record label. They're all about profit. They're big-time communists, but to show you how stupid they are, they went to a Free Tibet concert and played there. They're fucking retards.
Yeah. Like, okay.
It's like, yeah, how about, lay off the crack, Zach De La Rocha, if that's your name.
Yeah. Marty, it is still giggle-worthy. Asimov grabbed asses and his name starts with ass. Marv, the only female characters I remember from Asimov are Susie Calvin, who was a man with tits, and the love interest from The Naked Sun, who is basically a hoe. Yep, she's basically a hoe, and she's a murderess. And Susan Calvin, yeah, she's pretty much a man until she's not a man. The story with Herbie being the robot that can read minds, and instantly she turns into like a vindictive, psychotic cunt.
Yeah, I kind of wonder how much of that was influenced by his wife.
Well, I'm fairly certain that Elijah Bailey's wife, Jessie, is based on his wife, and Jessie is a busybody Karen type who is perfectly willing to sell her family up the river just so that she can, pretend that she's daring.
Wait. Read that.
Good night, everyone. P.S. Chicken Sith's Twitter permanently banned me today. What?
He's telling Chicken Sith.
Yeah. John, you were banned from Twitter? What happened?
Yeah, you can't just leave after saying that.
Yeah.
Is that like a cliffhanger? You can tell us later.
Dun dun dun. William, didn't Asimov's son get caught distributing so, yeah, okay, cheese pizza, which is funny because he apparently never really liked him.
Asimov's son was using the estate to distribute, yes, cheese pizza of the burger and hot dog variety using Obama code. You know about Obama's weird references to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know about, yeah. What was it, Galaxy Pizza? Was that?
Comet
Pizza.
Comet ping pong, yeah.
Yeah. Which really, really now makes my stomach churn when I think of the name of the pizza place in Toy Story.
Which is?
It's something like a spaceship pizza or something like that. It has a space theme.
Yeah, I saw that Linda Carter's now a shill. Look, you know what? If women are just going to keep falling over and not defending themselves, they're going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the fact is, decent guys like myself, because I'm a decent guy from space who is an alien.
Yeah.
You know, people like Matt Walsh, you notice they're all conservative or libertarian types, can stand up for women only so much. If women don't do it themselves, we're not going to be able to save them.
Mm-hmm.
I can write this book. I can get my point across. I can explain things. But, you know, if like the whole swimmer controversy, if female athletes keep standing up for the male swimmer, well, you know, I guess you get what you deserve, right?
Yeah. And thank you, Twaldy. I'm feeling much better. I'm actually pretty much 100% now. JC, wrapping up last pages of Pissant Apocalypse Part 3. Awesome.
I cannot wait for that. Pissant Apocalypse was great. And once you do, we'll bring you on and you can promote the hell out of it.
Yeah. Pizza Planet. Thank you, guys.
Do you think that really had anything to do with that? Or, oh, wait, Disney?
It's Disney. Well, okay. It was Pixar originally, but I don't know who came up with the idea with Pizza Planet. It just actually kind of makes my stomach churn thinking about it.
You know, I would say you're looking too deep into things, but after the last couple of years,
well,
with like Nickelodeon and Disney and Epstein and all the other things that came out, I can't take anything for granted anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, just how deeply involved Disney was with Epstein.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Come on, his name's Woody.
Woody, yeah. And Tom Hanks.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay, so this is what I mean by I'm not sure if this really can be put into the book or if I've just spent a month wasting my time writing and researching this chapter. What the fuck is gender? Oh, it's not really. What the heck is genderism? As defined by Bostock versus Clayton County, genderism is discrimination or prejudice against non-binary people. Non-binary meaning anybody who doesn't identify as male or female. So in other words, no matter what gender a person believes themselves to be, I don't know, or not. No matter what gender people believe themselves to be, they're still afforded the same rights as the rest of us. At face value, this seems straightforward enough. The problem is this isn't simply an issue of job opportunities or separate but equal water fountains. To accept genderism requires, as a real, oh, well, there we go. That's a typo right there. accept genderism as a real thing requires hopping on board with a whole litany of bizarre assumptions. For instance, if you believe only mothers give birth and men can't have wombs, sorry, dear readers, but you're a genderist bigot. Think it's okay to stroll into the office and say, "What's up, ladies?" or "Hey, guys," to your coworkers? Well, you've just assumed everyone's gender, you horrible monster. Don't you know that that's genderist hate speech? Welcome to the post-gender world, my friends, where gender is fluid and sexuality is a spectrum, and where you don't need a uterus to be a woman. Don't you know male and female don't really exist? We're all just genders trapped within testosterone and estrogen-dominated bodies. At the heart of this confusing ideology is an unwavering belief that no baby is born a gender, but assigned one at birth. Only the child can decide for themselves if they're man, woman, or any of the other 100+ genders currently recognized by the psychological community. Within the United States, the medical industry is so committed to this delusion that in 2021, the American Medical Association recommended that sex should be removed from legal designation on public birth on a designation on the part of public birth certificates. And organizations such as the Center for Disease Control and Planned Parenthood have begun shying away from feminine signifiers. Meanwhile, corporate America has also been quick to jump on the gender bandwagon. In 2022, big box chain store Target rolled out its new line of queer clothing, with t-shirts bearing slogans such as "Gender is a social construct" and "Trans rights are human rights." This included a line of toddler and children's wear, such as the Tomboys brand chest binders and packing underwear for sized for teens. Brett Cooper of the Daily Wire found those last two items most egregious. I've been you do her voice.
Which voice am I doing?
Just a female voice.
Okay. I've had a problem with the fact that it's called tomboy. I was a tomboy, she scoffed indignantly. That doesn't mean I need to flatten my chest and walk around pretending I'm a man.
Well said, Brett. Too bad you look like Ben Shapiro. Sorry.
Does she?
Yeah, it's weird. She looks like a female Ben Shapiro.
Oh, that's her. Okay, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
It's like,
actually, I thought she was like his sister or something. So.
Yeah. Actually, his sister's quite attractive. On her daily podcast, comments section with Brett Cooper, she called out Target for joining with the gender activists who insist tomboys are just males in the wrong body. Okay, let me...
it's weird that they're conflating that with being a tomboy. It feels dangerous, Cooper commented.
When the queer fashion line arrived at our local Target store, my wife was quick to notice the binders bearing the tomboy's name. Despite her curvy physique, Kat is very much a tomboy, and her clothing reflects this. Her day-to-day wear is black jeans, swap boots, and a snug tank top. That said, with her feminine face and prominent chest, there's no risk of ever being mistaken for a man. Now you get to talk as you.
This is sick, she told me, looking at the binders. Girls can't even be a tomboy anymore. So I just can't like guy stuff? I have to be a man in the wrong body? She then pointed to the display. You know what this is saying? That we must be ashamed of femininity. This is just another step in erasing actual females.
Kat did say that, but I'm be honest with you, that's the...
Well, you prettied it up.
I removed all the 4-letter words.
Putting it mildly, yeah.
And I removed a few other things that were, I think, a little too harsh for prime time.
That's fine. That's fine. It gets the
There were
gist.
quite a few shit and fucks in there and bitch.
Well, I hate that fucking shit.
Long before Target went queer, author Abigail Shrier had noticed similar attempts to twist the meaning of tomboy. So many women were once tomboys as I was, she wrote in a 2020 New York Post editorial. But tomboys don't exist, as any teenage girl will tell you. In its place is an endless litany of gender categories, from agender to non-binary to gender fluid to trans. In the editorial, Shrier had explained how teens across the country who were imperfectly feminine were being told by peers and professionals that it was gender dysphoria that caused their problems. One of these teens, going by the name Desmond, recounted to Schreier her experience while in high school. And here, you can do it.
Okay. They were so easy to the pushing of hormones.
Yeah, hey.
Okay, that's
a quote.
That's a quote. Okay. They were so easy to the pushing of hormones, of putting the thought of surgery in my head, of yes, this will make you happier. This will make your life easier. This will get rid of your depression. This will help you become your true self.
Desmond recalled. Instead, the testosterone injections she received as part of her transition caused severe uterine pain, which led to a hysterectomy. Realizing she had made a horrible choice, a horrible mistake, Desmond chose to detransition. For all of the support and encouragement she'd received during the transition, the moment Desmond embraced her womanhood,
no one really helped me at that point.
What a shock, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll read this could go on and on.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? This chapter, I just don't know if it really belongs.
I'm reading it again, and I don't think it does, or at least what we've just read, I don't think really belongs. I definitely would say keep it and do something with it, but it doesn't belong in this book.
Yeah, and really where this was all leading was to another part called definitions and disfigurement. When cisgender was added, basically what I'm getting into is that why cisgender is a bullshit word. Nobody should ever use it. Nobody should ever embrace it. And that by embracing the term, you're basically unwittingly saying you agree with a whole bunch of shit science about basically, that sex doesn't exist, babies are assigned gender, that all this gender identity crap is woven into the word cis. And what I point out is when cisgender was added to the Oxford Dictionary, it was declared a historic victory for the LGBTQ community. Yet unlike past victories, such as when dictionaries recognized gay could also mean homosexual, the word cisgender isn't recognizing, the word cisgender isn't an acknowledgement of transsexuality. In fact, trans people aren't even mentioned in the definition. So why then do experts say otherwise? Cis is a term that says, I recognize trans people exist. So it's a very intentional term that demonstrates awareness. To say that trans people matter, said Professor S.J. Miller. Professor S.J. Miller told CBS News in a segment called What It Means to Identify as Cisgender. The professor gave an impassioned plea why we should all embrace the word, saying, when I talk to people and they say they're cis, I know they're recognizing me. Yet that's not all Miller believes. As one of the nation's leading gender consultants, she question mark, because I honestly can't tell, is an award-winning activist and teacher who has written extensively about bringing gender identity politics into the classroom. In an essay entitled "Reframing Schooling to Liberate Gender Identity," Miller speaks of cisgenders the same way Miller speaks of cisgenders with the same scorn Marxists harbor for the ruling class. It's clear Miller sees gender as not merely an identity, but a struggle for power, writing that when gender non-compliant identity bodies threaten the power shift, threaten to shift power and control away from cisgender or gender-typical bodies, states implement measures to preserve their authority. And basically, then it goes on to say that basically cisgenders will basically start exterminating people. And I mean, it's just one big tirade about how cis people are just evil. But yet, what this asshole told CBS News was all nicey nice and love. And it's all about how they're trying to change the language. So, yeah, I think this chapter is probably going to have to be ditched as much as I think it's useful. I guess certain people are just going to have to be confused. I'll have you read the chapter anyway.
Mm-hmm. No. I want to read it again. See what can be perhaps repurposed or pared down. I think there's things that can be salvaged, but yeah.
Okay, let's see.
Got a lot to weed through.
Okay. Non-binary is code for we're wearing your skin without cutting into our own. Yeah. Non-binary is bullshit.
No, it's just a way of saying I'm a very special snowflake and you should treat me special.
Well, Hufflepuff's a gender now.
Yeah.
Along with dog and cat, so.
And Korean.
Yeah, and Korean. Let's see.
Fiona, my IQ must be bolstered by screwdrivers. Huzzah for vodka! Actually, that sounds pretty good right about now, considering all that shit. Not a screwdriver, sorry, I won't be joining you with that, Fiona, but sake sounds pretty good.
Though, I will say, speaking of my Irish side, the hot toddy really did help when I was sick.
Oh, the ones I made for you?
Yeah. Shot of whiskey and a bunch of other fun stuff.
I made them with SoCo.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah. Well, I could only find the cinnamon Jack Daniels, and though it probably would have been good, I thought it would be better just to stick with straight whiskey. Dominic, evening everyone. Who's the woman on the screen? That would be me.
That's fan art of Cat.
That's me hulking out.
See, that's Nice Cat and Rage Cat.
Yes. Because I have rage issues. Marv, a YouTuber came out with a video a week ago saying that anyone who disputes gender ideology is a hateful, then immediately said it is stupid to say gender is a social construct because it's medical.
Well, look, at this point, I don't really give a fuck what the other side says about me. Honestly. At this point, the things they're defending, look, how would I put it? If it's hate speech to oppose bringing children to drag shows and stuffing dollar bills and men's G-strings, you know what? I'm a hate monger. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Seriously.
You can do whatever you want once you're a legal adult. That's fine. You can chop your tits off. You can do drugs. You can, do and say whatever the fuck you want. Don't bring kids into this shit.
But I do think what's going to happen now, for those of you who aren't Gen Xers, don't seem to quite have it as bad, or I guess some of you guys actually like clowns. Gen X has this horrible fear of clowns. In general, we fucking hate clowns.
I swear part of it is the original It.
It's
just how many people...
Poltergeist.
Yeah, and Poltergeist.
There were a few other movies, but those are the ones that stick out to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that our parents kept inflicting clowns on us.
Yeah, that's true.
They kept thinking we liked clowns. You remember that?
Yeah.
And there were all these TV shows. It was like, no, they're horrifying.
Like, clowns are awful.
And I swear what's going to happen to Zoomers and these kids who I guess are being, whatever comes after Zoomer, who are being exposed to drag queens now, are going to grow up, and what clowns were to Gen X, drag queens are going to be to like the Zoomer kids. Is going to have like nightmares and horror movies about, the drag queen doll coming alive and trying to kill the kid, and the drag queen that comes out of the sewer and kills children.
Wow. Wow.
It could happen.
Yeah.
It was just like, what was it? Ringu basically traumatized an entire generation of Japanese kids to be afraid of television.
Yeah.
They won't watch it in the dark.
No, they won't.
Just the number of kids who were traumatized about watching TV in the dark.
Well, what I keep coming back to is John Waters.
Yeah.
And specifically Pink Flamingos. And how, look, Divine was in a competition to be crowned the filthiest person on the planet.
Yeah.
John Waters understood that this is deviancy. And yes, we enjoy it, but it's deviancy.
Well, the fact that they were full on having women raped in the basement to give birth to babies that they could then sell to lesbian couples.
Yes. And the thing is that's a horrible thing, and John Waters made it funny. But again, they're deviants.
Yeah.
You don't expose your children to this.
Well, if you're a good parent, you don't.
Yeah, if you're a good
parent. You wait
parent.
until they're in high school.
Well, yeah, there you go. You wait till they're in high school. Exactly.
Damn, I'm trying to find it. I don't think anyone's uploaded it. I can find a way to rip it.
What?
The scene in John Waters' Desperate Living where Mo goes to get a sex change.
Oh.
Because it's hilarious. I mean, after all this shit's happened, it's taken on new meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Where basically Mo goes into Mo's a dyke. Goes into the oh god.
It was a university. Mo goes to the Kinsey Institute, essentially. Actually, you looking up where that is?
No, I know where that is. It's just at John Hopkins University. Mo goes to John Hopkins, walks into the office of the doctor, holds him at gunpoint. It's like, damn it, I want a sex change. I want a wang and I want it now.
Yeah.
You don't give me a dick, I'm going to cut yours off and sew it on me. That's the building.
Yeah.
Shit, Mo did walk into the Kinsey Institute.
She found a picture of the building in the movie Desperate Living.
And yeah, the whole thing is just amazing.
Yes. It is truly amazing.
All right. All right. Let's see what Retnick has to say.
Retnick says to Marv Alice, I wish I could get an actual psychologist who can tell me tell my non-binary sister she isn't really trans because she read Lumberjanes and she's trying to appeal to older kids that bullied her.
Shit, Lumberjanes did this?
Oh, fuck Lumberjanes.
So it goes back to Noelle Stevenson again.
Yeah.
Please, whatever you do, if she decides to cut her tits off and go on testosterone, Patty Hearst her. Seriously, just throw in the trunk and drive off.
Throw a sack over her head, put her in the attic, and it's like you're not leaving until you wake
sane.
up. Yeah. Marty, cisgender has quickly become a slur used by many LGBT to straight people they don't agree with. That's true.
And that's, you know what? I'm fine with it being slur because it means no one will like it.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to be insulted. And it helps delegitimize the term because it's pseudoscience crap anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But no one should ever refer to themselves as cis or cisgendered because it's pseudoscience and it was invented by very sick pedophiles.
Yes.
Surprised I haven't been banned yet.
What, on here?
Let's see.
Dominic, gender and sex are not social constructs, no matter what these people say. Enough said.
Well, really, in truth, we need to ditch the word gender as it's currently being used. Gender was never meant to be applied to people.
No, it's applied to words.
Yeah, it's applied to words. Words have gender, people don't.
Yeah.
And, again, this was a bait and switch because, if words can change people, it's bullshit. It's this whole idea that words decide reality. But the fact is, you can change the definition of death or the word for death all you like, but you still won't have abolished it.
No.
You won't have discovered immortality by changing the definition to death.
Yeah.
People will still die. Cemeteries will still get filled. Coffin makers will still have a job. Okay? But, really, I think what really needs to be done is that these social constructionists need to show us that if they just redefine the word falling to fly and then jump off buildings, if they can fly, I'll believe them.
Dominic to Marv. This sounds like it's coming into the middle of a...
Yeah, what's really kind of disturbing is realizing also, and this is, again, just very unsettling for me, is how much of all of this stuff actually its starting point was Weimar Germany. That's another one that just blows me away. Is a lot of this sick shit all started with Weimar Germany. And the parallels are very disturbing.
BGC, perhaps in an epilogue or appendix, it's relevant to our current situation, but I can see how it apparently seems possibly incongruous. Personally, I feel it works. Marv, to Dominic Powell, when I was on the left, I just thought all right-wingers were evil.
And, I grew up in a very left-leaning family. I wouldn't even say liberal, I'd say left-leaning, or at least liberals who pretended to be left, fantasized about being left, while they went on with their yuppie lifestyles. And, yeah, that was the thing they continually drilled into my brain, was that conservatives were evil, that they were horrible, evil people that wanted to do horrible, evil things. And the thing that got me was when the holes started forming. It started first by living in San Francisco and seeing all this liberalism in action, all this leftist policy in action is where it really started. That started to fall apart. And then I'm not sure what it was, but at some point, there was some claim that the left made, and I decided, me being the research type that I am, I fact-checked it. And I instantly found that the news was lying. Also, I had started having repeated experiences through the aughts of, then when the big woke boom happened, of the press lying about people I knew personally in the comics industry, just flat out lying. And so I said, okay, what else are they lying about? And I started going backwards and started looking into the claims of people that were often written off as crazy or evil by my parents, and finding out how much these people were telling the truth. And people like my parents just didn't like to hear the truth or didn't want to believe it. And here I am. And the further and further away I got from them, the more I saw that really these evil monsters they kept describing were themselves. Conservatives didn't do any of the things that my parents constantly were claiming. My parents did. I mean, really, the most guilty, I think, was the religious rights stupidity in the 80s, where they wanted to ban MTV and were pissed off at D&D and rock records. But even then, they didn't really achieve anything. They just made a lot of noise and annoyed everyone. It was the left that achieved the banning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tipper Gore.
Yeah, Tipper Gore, Hillary Clinton. Those are the two big ones, but there were others.
Well, the fact that it was really demoralizing for them when I think it was John Denver appeared in court saying, no, your censorship was bullshit.
Oh, what do we get an ovation for?
I do not know.
I'll take it, but what did we do?
Oh, JEC says Gacy for Evil Clowns.
Oh, yeah, Gacy. That is another one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Gacy definitely scared the shit out of us.
I've seen his artwork.
So you abhor clowns, but you okay? Yeah. See, the thing is interesting is that Gen Y, people seem to have forgotten. Gen Y isn't millennial. Technically, they fall into the millennial age group, but they were on the cusp right after Gen X, and they're nothing like millennials.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because when you meet one who, it's weird because there are millennials and Gen Y that happened at the same time, but they act totally different.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when Gen Y first came about, I was like, oh, good, we're going to do okay. Gen Y is kind of like Gen X, a bit more cynical than us, but far less depressed and better adjusted and better, mm-hmm. Not nearly so bitter and angry. I think we're going to be all right. And then the millennials happened.
Yeah, other people brought up Gacy as well.
Also Santa Claus. Yeah.
Sorry, I like Mr. No. Here's a horror title. Drag Me to Pride.
Oh, shit.
Nascaro, I'm not sure if I count as Gen X. Really, clowns never bothered me, but this sounds pretty reasonable.
Oh, no. The hatred of clowns among Gen X is a quantifiable stat.
There's a reason why companies like Kellogg's got rid of their clown mascot for Gen X.
Well, it got to that point where Gen X hated clowns so much that the clown schools started forming a lobby to try and change the image of clowns.
Mm-hmm. I remember that. I remember when Ringling Brothers changed their advertisements to get rid of the clowns.
And there was that brand of ice cream that ditched the clown.
Yep, there's the brand.
And I'll be honest, I forget what the brand was, but as a kid, that clown disturbed me on the ice cream. It was kind of creepy.
Yang, Koreans are afraid of falling asleep with the fan on, so every generation and culture has to have something they're irrationally afraid of. I will say, though, there is psychology behind the clown fear, and that is you can't read the person's face.
Oh, yeah, that is part of it.
And, children especially don't like it when they can't read your face. That's why there have been a lot of problems with kids because of the pandemic who, grew up with everyone wearing masks and they couldn't read their faces. And these kids wound up being paranoid and neurotic.
Yeah.
Aloise, I agree, Ishi. I'm Gen Z and I find drag queens disturbing, mainly because the ones promoted are purposely hideous.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. By the way, speaking of the wonderful Aloise, we've got a link to the Discord that Aloise created for the show.
Yes.
Please check it out.
And I saw there are questions on the Discord for the night editor, so those will be addressed. I feel bad for the younger year groups of Gen Z and Gen Alpha that are going to be growing up in this era.
Yeah. Well, I think that the left are burying themselves, and I have no idea how this will play out. It's not sustainable. Let's just hope that Americans are better than Germans in handling this issue. Because a lot of this shit that we're seeing right now is one of the things that pushed Germany over the edge. One of the major things.
Just watch M.
M, and it's even in Metropolis.
Yeah, it is in Metropolis.
I mean, that is kind of a metaphor for what was going on in Weimar Germany, and what the Maria robot, when she turns into the harlot, was a common that was patterned after the cabarets, except that was a rated G version.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, she at least had pasties.
Yeah. So, trying to find if there's any what
comment up above.
Which one?
Scroll up a little bit.
Yeah.
JEC. How do I tell my daughter she doesn't have body dysmorphia? She's just fat, ugly, and autistic. It's like, well, 2 of those 3 you can do something about, and there's nothing wrong with being autistic.
It just depends on how autistic and if you can put it to use.
Yeah, exactly.
There's plenty of people who have weaponized their autism for good or evil. But for good, the thing is, depending on the level of autism, the world needs more trolls to piss off people like these trans freaks that are making everyone's life hell. And these SJWs and social justice warrior dipshits. The woke crowd. The woke needs to be antagonized and laughed at. And autists are so good at doing that.
That is true. Well, because autists just tell it straight to your face.
Yeah.
Which is great. Although, with that said, now I could be wrong because I give a fucking shit about her. But I do find it interesting that Ellen Page had top surgery, and when she released those pictures, she got ridiculed for it.
Really?
Yeah.
What part?
The fact that she looked weird.
Well, yeah, that's because it looked like she was wearing a piece of rubber.
Yeah, it did. And she seems to have disappeared since then. Like, I'm guessing her grand coming out wasn't she wasn't the debutante she thought she was going to be. Mistress of the obvious. When most talk about gender, they mean sex, gender roles, etc. Gender alone means nothing. Indeed.
And the other thing is, the kind of the amazing part is you see all these feminists who are now beginning to wake up and realize this is horrible. Mm-hmm. Never let them forget they built this.
Yeah.
This is their fault. Seriously. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, more than anyone else, this is feminism's fault. Specifically, second wave feminism. Third wave feminism, for the most part, didn't have this problem. In fact, in my research, I found out that second wave and third wave feminism hated each other because, for the most part, apparently third wave feminism didn't understand what the second wave was saying. Third wave feminism was, my right to choose to do what I want is feminist. Mm-hmm. That whole idea was that choice feminism is what they called it.
Yeah.
That was third wave. And apparently the second wave hated their guts and alienated them. And then lo and behold, when the fourth wave, the whole gender shit happened, they did everything to get rid of the choice feminists. Mm-hmm. And now those choice feminists and some of the older boomers are waking up to the reality of what happened.
Yeah.
But really, who's most responsible? I have to say it, the second wave feminists built this. They somehow decided that if they got rid of gender, or not gender, sex, and made it so, if they said basically men and women were identical, they thought they'd have their equality.
Well, not only that, but their idea of getting rid of it was to get rid of all things feminine.
Yeah.
They actually didn't try to emasculate men. They just tried to make women more masculine.
Right. And the prior ones, the suffragists, who were also fucking crazy, were matriarchists.
Mm-hmm.
They were like almost like worship of the feminine.
Yeah. Huge representation of the feminine. And then, I've been doing a lot of reading into, spiritualism. And that was huge in promoting female power.
But, there's even like sci-fi. One of the most famous feminist sci-fi novels, The Female Man by Joanna Russ.
Yeah.
Get this. It's 1975. There's a gender war. Men get killed off eventually by a plague created by the women.
Mm-hmm.
But the war, the feminists win by screwing up language and making language so confusing that nobody can tell what a man and a woman is anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then their future utopia, they all look like kind of genderless, tubby, she-males,
Mm-hmm.
or fat, genderless freaks.
Yeah. Again, they lost the feminine aspect.
And they live in these bizarre, environmental friendly communist communes. And so the feminists have been pushing this from day one.
And of course, Joanna Russ had a hatred for her own femininity, and it
was
reflected
absolutely
in her story.
And then, it was the same thing with Judith Butler.
Mm-hmm.
And Simone Beauvoir, and just all of them. It was a woman isn't born, she's made.
Mm-hmm.
And Beauvoir was claiming that women, the concept of woman itself, was made up by men to enslave.
Well, on a personal note, I can remember in high school, I dressed exclusively in men's clothing, and wore a trench coat on top of everything. And I hated every time anybody brought up boobs and stuff like that, thinking that it was wrong and sexist and all that other stuff.
That was your mom.
No, it was, but it was also because I was fucking fat. I was fucking fat and I was ugly. And in my mind, I would never, become the woman my mom was in her prime, because when my mom was in her prime, she was 5'10" and fucking curvaceous. And I thought I'd never become that. And so why should I even try? So I dressed mannish because I figured, well, at least I can do that. And then I lost all the weight and puberty hit me late. And damn, I like boobs now. I like being female. A lot of this shit is self-esteem.
Yeah.
So what is it that you do? You attack the thing that you think you're never going to be. Because it makes you feel better about the fact that you're quote unquote never going to be that. Dominic, what's the progress of your book?
Well, you've read the book mostly now. Mm-hmm. But what's the progress on the book?
I would say probably needs a couple more eyes to take a look at it, but it's more than 3/4 of the way done.
Oh, I would say it's even closer to that.
Yeah.
So I'll say, first off, it turns out the book's going to be twice as long as I suspected. Mm-hmm. I told this story earlier in the broadcast, but since some of you may be joining us once again, I thought I had the book done earlier this year, and I announced it. And then I had my editor sit down and look at it. And what did my editor say to me? She leaned over and she squeezed the boobs together and got my attention. And she sat down next to me, and I looked down at the boobs, and she put her hand on my knee, and then she said,
like, you're not half-assing this shit. You're going to do this right. You need to add some shit.
Because it turns out there were parts where I thought I could just give the cliff notes. That I didn't have to explain it all. That I didn't have to go in depth on certain things that were just givens. And they weren't. So now the book's twice as long.
that it's better for it.
And I'm predicting probably a 300-page book, or at least 250, thereabouts. It's already 200 pages at this point, not including the appendices, which have interviews. But what's left? Well, one chapter needs a small section added, and that is about the chainmail bikini controversy with Sifwa. And then I've got a chapter on Lara Croft and a chapter on Wonder Woman. That's it.
Yay!
That's everything. And it needs an edit, I guess, from people. I need everyone who I sent it out to read it and send back corrections, typos, and comments. And yeah, I'm ready to move on and do something else. This is killing me.
Well, you're almost there.
Okay.
Oh dear God, no.
What?
Scroll down. Dark Stranger. So you're saying your youth was I'm not Starfire? Dear God, no. I would have slit my wrist if I was that pathetic.
Okay, we'll do that first.
No. Okay. But with a more relatable understanding, little cat and through work and time made herself better rather than everything just coming to her. Well, it was really one of those things where I grew up with that idea of there are hot girls and there are not hot girls, and I was obviously not a hot girl. So I wasn't going to worry my pretty little head trying to be something I wasn't. So I dressed as, I dressed like a boy. I shopped in the boys section of Hot Topics, honestly. And I specifically wore the biggest shirts I could possibly purchase, the largest being a double XL. I didn't need to wear a double XL, but I was hiding the fact that I wasn't hot, that I was fat. And honestly, it was one of those things where I didn't mind Lara Croft. I didn't mind Tifa Lockhart. I didn't mind any of those characters. I didn't mind Power Girl at that age. But anytime anybody brought up hot women and how big boobs make you hot, like Pamela Anderson, yeah, I did get annoyed because I was never going to look like that. And then I met an alien from space, and he said, you're attractive. If you worked a little harder, you could be even more so.
Well, what it was that I saw what no one else did, and I was rewarded for it.
Yeah, because all it took was this alien to say, "Hey, you're actually attractive. Why are you hiding?"
Yeah, you're hiding underneath a bowl haircut and a trench coat.
Yeah. And
why? And you fought me on it for a while, and you were
well, of course, it was everything I had known.
Had to learn to love working out and learn to eat better. And then you excelled at it and learned even better at how to eat. Got really good at learning how to eat correctly.
Well, I actually got results. I mean, my entire childhood was watching the adult women around me yo-yo on diets, so I knew intimately that diets didn't work.
Do you remember the challenge I gave you?
Oh, the mayonnaise?
Yeah, I said cut mayonnaise.
Yeah,
see what happens.
He said cut mayonnaise, and in 1 week I lost 10 pounds.
And that's when you knew I was right.
Yeah. So no, my childhood was not I'm not Starfire. I mean, it really, I would have slit my wrist and ended it right there if I was that pathetic.
I think your teen years was basically you just figured you weren't going to have a future, so fuck it.
Yeah, I never thought I'd live to be 30.
So you just said, whatever, I don't care. And again, I took a big risk.
Mm-hmm.
I'll admit I took a big risk. It could have just gone. It could have gone very badly. I could have gotten caught up in another bad situation. But I saw something in you. I saw character that told me it was worth it, and my gamble paid off.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I did not realize those chits were going to get that big. Maybe it was the universe rewarding me for my
I would say it's karma.
karma.
You know, I've got 2 heaping handfuls of karma right here.
I mean, your mom's chits are big, but they're not you.
Supposedly both of my grandmothers were well endowed. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oma was definitely stacked.
Mm-hmm.
She was a short stack though.
Yeah.
And the pictures of her in her youth, your grandmother could have been a fucking pinup model. No, I saw the pictures of your grandmother in her youth. She could have been a Vargas girl.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, she was good looking. Good Irish genes. Good health. Good Celt.
Yeah, good Celt genes. It's okay, Dark Stranger.
What did he say?
He apologized. It's okay. Also, I'm sure text conveys. It's hard to read what people's meanings in text, but no, it's all good. Mistress, hiding period pads and boobs at 9 or 10 wasn't fun.
Yeah, that can be vicious.
Oh shit! I can only imagine. Like I said, I was a late bloomer. I started at 16.
My experience has been that a lot of girls who develop early aren't ready for the ridicule and pressure and just cruelty of other females.
No, not ready for that. I can remember in junior high
and
just how bad it was.
Being torn to shreds for standing out, for having something they're not going to have, and knowing that breasts are going to make that woman basically have more sway with men than others. Yeah.
Well, I can remember, 5th grade, we were all just kids, right? And then we came back after summer break for 6th grade, and this one girl, whoa, it's like, where the fuck did those come from? She suddenly went from kind of, being skinny with like some budding boobage to, head-sized tits, and I'm not exaggerating. In 6th grade, having head-sized tits and legs, basically no torso.
Was this the black girl?
Yeah.
Well, you know that black people in general, but females especially, go into puberty anywhere between anywhere between 3 to 4 years earlier than everyone else.
Yeah, but it was one of those things where everybody noticed, and quite frankly, she did learn very quickly that she could get adult males who thought that she was in high school to buy her stuff at that time. So yeah, but it was very odd to actually see somebody go from, I'm going to be perfectly blunt, and this is me saying this. I've got big tits, but she was in 6th grade. She hadn't grown yet. She hadn't grown into her tits. So she literally was boobs, legs. She had no torso. None. And yeah, everybody noticed and everybody commented.
Yeah.
And it was hard for her until she realized she could get people to do things and buy her stuff.
And that's either what either they find that it's an advantage at that age, or they learn to hate it. And in my experience, busty women who develop later tend to enjoy it more because they don't get the social beating as quickly.
Yeah. Well, this was a private school. This was a private Christian school. And there was one particular teacher who liked paying attention to her. He was a dirtbag. But anyway, he beat up the kids, but that's neither here nor there. I don't know about you, but I'm actually getting tired.
And I need some food.
Okay. Well, there is food.
I haven't had dinner yet, so.
It has beef in it.
Oh, it's what's for dinner.
Yes, beef is what's for dinner. And it's not just because we've been watching all those cowboy movies.
We have?
Well, or I have at least.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What cowboy movies you've been watching?
I was watching all those snippets, trying to...
Oh, you were watching clips. Okay,
yeah.
I don't remember watching any cowboy movie.
No, I was watching clips.
All right. Okay.
All right, thank you, everyone. It's great to be back with you all. Unless something catastrophic happens, we hope to be with you tomorrow with Janelle.
Yes.
Get back on target.
And hey, why not buy one of my comics? They're really good.
Yes, they are.
This is Case File Arkham. You can find it on Amazon. Links in the description. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.